Yeah, that's a good topic.
Really? They're coming. Thing is, assembly hour just started.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming some will come. Well, some of my students actually also coming. I only have Shandy is for my class this semester. I've got students from other semesters. So but it just started, so either in the bathroom or like.
Sorry.
Sure, that's okay. No.
Before we start, can you give me some time to explain my whole argument? Given that I am the only in the room.
Male privilege?
No, not male privilege. No, I'm just saying because I have like this, I wanted to present like the thought process of me answering the question and then presenting.
How do you know you're gonna be the only one speaking on your side?
I'm not gonna. ماشي بس I'm not. This is the thing. It's not about sides.
Someone's not outside.
It's لا. You're gonna see when I present my.
It's the name.
Ali, you will
I've
be
been waiting
treated
on
the
something.
same as every other AUC student, fair enough. You will be
You're
treated,
creating problems.
you will be treated equally.
Equally, yeah. You're saying that I'm advocating for Islamic country.
I'm saying, you'll be treated equally and fairly, like everybody else, regardless of what your gender may be.
Okay. Oh. والله فوق.
Write your name down. Extra credit. Yes, you come to these events, you get extra credit. Ready for tomorrow? No? You see, I put another,
What's this?
online. I put another question online. Oh.
This is not an excuse.
Yeah, that was a 10, it's on the syllabus, this 10, it's on black. I said the announcement in class, it's 10.
I just want you watch the movie after.
That's okay, you're making up.
لا انت كده جنب
This is a graduate, this is a former student of mine, Hannah. The graduate is, she took the same course. She's taking that course right now. No, you took coding. You took pre-production. That's where you took it.
I was
Guys, all your names here? Everyone has their name? Everyone has their name? Oh. Okay, just keep them for reference.
Okay, so it's not the same course.
Okay, actually, I need to start. Okay, so welcome everyone to our fourth debate from the CASAR Student Series session. What happens is at the Center for American Studies for Research, the Prince Suarez Center for American Studies and Research, it is part of the School of GAP. We have a minor in American Studies, and we also have courses that also are part of the core curriculum courses. Our courses talk about everything US. Some of them compare each of the US. Some of them are strictly only about the US. And these discussion series usually take a topic that is either global or pertains to both countries, and we discuss them and we talk about them, giving a room for students to actually display their opinions. And in today's case, we're talking about our question. should men actually have a say in abortion registration rights? The thing is, before we delve into the topic, let me give you a very brief history about abortion laws in Egypt and in the US, just so
The rule.
this is like at the end. I'll give you a prehistorical time, the colonial times in both countries, and just tell you how started and who started the laws. Well, let's do Egypt first. So the law concerning abortion was first enacted in 1883. 1883. At that time, our legal system was heavily influenced by the French legal system due to, of course, colonization at the time. Of course, women were not granted suffrage or voting rights until 1956, thanks to the Rey Shafi. Articles 260 till 264 until now in the Penal Code prohibit abortion, including for women who have been raped, punishing the women who got an abortion and whoever assisted her to do this with detention, which means imprisonment for a short time, and aggravated imprisonment. The law still stands until now in our penal code. It hasn't changed since 1883, all right? To date, this law has not changed. Abortion remains illegal with the exception of pregnancy jeopardizing a mother's health, and Al-Azhar has to grant permit for that. It's a process, it's not something that is okay. Doctors will not do it. This is completely illegal regardless of the situation. That's what we have in Egypt right now. As you know, 1883, men only put that law. Okay, women were not involved at any point. US have a different perspective because this includes women of color in the US as well. It was different. Leaders did not outlaw abortion in America until the mid-1800s. From colonial days until those laws, abortion was a regular part of life for women. Common law allowed abortion prior to quickening, which was an archaic term for fetal movement that usually happens around after 4 months of pregnancy. This was like a birth control method. Although abortion was legal throughout the country until after the Civil War in 1861, there were several rules for enslaved Black women than for white women. Enslaved Black women were valued property. They didn't have the freedom to control their bodies. Enslaved owners prohibited them from having abortions. Starting around the time of Civil War, which is 1861, a coalition of male doctors with support of the Catholic Church and others who wanted to control women's bodies led a movement to push states' government to outlaw abortion across the board. By 1910, abortion was banned nationwide. The 1960s gave rise to abortion law reform. In the late 1960s, 11 states liberalized their abortion laws. And in 1973, the Supreme Court established a legal right to access abortion nationwide. Access abortion, you can get abortion nationwide with this landmark decision in the Roe versus Wade case. Then in 2022, the Roe and Casey case was overturned, which means that each state can either legalize it or not. It is no longer a constitutional right to be executed across all states. So in the US, it's not that it's completely banned, it's left up to the states. Left up to the states.
That's when you made my argument so much short.
Well,
Because
that's why I
I
told
was
you
gonna
to.
explain.
That's great. All right, so before we, is that information clear for everyone?
Yes.
All right.
When you said Al-Azhar makes an exception, can you repeat the part what the Al-Azhar thing?
Jeopardizing the mother's health. It has to be like a certified doctor, permit, several opinions, a committee. It's a big deal. That's why it's not something that you can just like walk in some like gyna clinic and ask for that at all. All right. Okay, keep that with you, whoever comes to speak. Let me, now this video, this is a question today's question asked to students in the US, male students in the US, about whether they should have a say or not. Let's see what they did.
Saying abortion rights. No, men don't have to carry a child, men don't really face any responsibilities. Yeah. This is Russell Brew. I'm in Washington Square Park, and we're here to ask some men about abortion. Should men have a say in abortion rights?
I think everybody should have a conversation, but I think ultimately, it's not up to us what to do, it's just what to do with their body.
It has nothing to do with this, this is really all them. We're not the ones that's actually getting this. That's our choice.
Why do you think men should have a say in abortion rights?
Because men have a lot of power, and so they could make good laws.
I believe in my body, my choice.
Well, they should have say, no, they should only be able to talk to the woman. The woman is the one to make the decision because it's her body.
Perhaps in their own relationship, it's their child, but not as far as nationally goes.
Yes, I do. I really do, because it takes two to tango, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's his baby just as much as hers.
Everyone should have a say in abortion rights, women and men included. I don't think it should be a decision that should be made by one singular sex.
What do you think is the best way for a man to be an abortion rights activist?
You're not supposed to be there at all.
No idea. Listen to what women say. Respect women's rights.
Stand up for the people in his life who are fighting for the same cause and, you know, stand behind it if he believes in it.
The only way is to support the woman. There's nothing they can do except for support. Men should be educated, you know, I think they should be informed of the laws, the procedures, things that happen in those situations.
If the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, how do you think that would affect you?
As a man? Sort of the same way they affect women. I mean, like right now they playing like games with actual human beings. I mean, if they want to carry the baby, why not? If they don't, why not? It's their body, their choice. I don't know who would like really affect me. Maybe the things I might do to someone else, but like, I mean, it's not even that doesn't really affect me selfishly. I think we would all feel some sort of ripple effect because we all have, you know, moms and sisters, moms that we all care for. And it's like these should be essential rights for women.
Only way it would affect me is because it would hurt my friends. I know that because they're really upset about the issue right now.
That's one of those things that wouldn't affect me at all. But it would create a cultural environment. It would create a lot of angry women. That would affect me.
That would affect me a great deal.
I mean, directly at this time, I don't think it would affect me, but I, you know, at some point down the line, it could. It could affect everyone.
I have so much to say about the video on the surface.
This is a perspective in the end. All right, I will ask you to introduce yourself, just your name, and then you go ahead and state your opinion.
Stop, give me the opportunity to start. I'm the only male. So starting, just start.
I'm not the referee here, so.
Okay, fine. Okay, go ahead, please.
Bismillah. Hello everyone, I'm Ali, CMA graduating senior. And just like I was speaking with Noor just right now, the question is being looked at a very different way, should and shouldn't. And who has the say? Why, like, how men, women, who has the say? Like, why does a politician, can a politician, a middle-aged politician, white, has the say that no, you cannot have abortion, no, you can have, no, you cannot, no. So first I'm gonna define the legislation, like what is abortion legislation? It is the law that says what is gonna happen, like when can a woman can have abortion, like the gestational limits. And then the reasons for the abortion, just like Professor Yasmin said, and it's mainly because of the rape victims and the sexual assault victims. And then there's consent, there has to be consent and counseling. And then there's the method, because there are a lot of different procedures, so it can be safe to the mother. So then I remembered something you said when you were talking in the plaza, that women are the givers of life. How, and then I thought, how can I argue with this and how can I debate? How is a man gonna be a competition to a giver of life? How can my word be against a giver of life? And then I thought about the question in a different way. Why was the question raised in the beginning? And then we talked about the history, that it was allowed for men it wasn't allowed for men to have a say, like because it was allowed to have abortion. And then it wasn't allowed. And then we talk about how a bill is passed in the US. Because we're talking about I'm going to speak about the US. How a bill is passed in the US, because mainly the politicians, like it's in the US, there are three things that govern the country: the executive system, the legislative system, and the judicial system. These two we're not going to talk about. We're going to talk about the legislative system that passes the laws and the bills. And in order to pass a law in the United States, the legislative process is that the House of Representatives and the Senate must pass the same bill by majority and vote, so it can be passed to the president. And then the president has the say to agree or disagree, like the legislation laws and the states. So why the question was raised? Because in these two chambers, or the House of Representatives and the Senates, most of them are men. So that's why the question was raised. Why are men, or why should men be allowed? It's not should men be allowed to sign abortion rights. It's not that straightforward. It's why should men have the say on abortion, yes or no? Why do they have the say so? So then I said, how can I tackle this question? How can I present my argument? I'm not gonna argue for the men can say this because the politicians say so. And honestly, not a lot of women are interested in politics. So women are not gonna get a lot of vote in the chambers. So it's not gonna be like men versus women. This is not the argument, and this is not how to win the debate. How to win the debate is and I'm going to challenge your question, Professor Yasmin, Professor Dees. I'm giving you a challenge. I'm gonna give you the challenge, and I'm going to answer the challenge. Who should have a say on abortion legislation? Like we talked about, and you said something else, health. And it's International Women's Day, given that I am the only guy. Congratulations, women, ladies, congratulations. So who should, like, we said that the legislation for abortion was because the sexual assault victims, and the second reason was the health, the mother's health. So who should have, in terms of health, who is a professional in terms of health? Medical doctors. So that's the answer to my question. Who should? Yes. It's not a lecture, يعني. I'm gonna
ليش كمل
right now and say what you want.
معلش لا answer
So they can continue. Finish
Okay.
explaining.
Yeah, I'm finishing خلاص. يعني.
خلاص لا كمل انا حصل واحد.
Instead of the middle-aged politicians that get to say you can have abortion and you cannot have abortion, why not get the experts in the spotlight on the stage and say yes, you can have? And it's different from each person to the next. Like we see a lot of cases, women give birth much earlier than other women. We see women giving birth and the children sadly do not survive. Some women give successful deliveries, and some women cannot get pregnant. It's different. So that's why we have to get the expert. And who should? Medical doctors.
Okay. Yes, name?
خيري انا خيري
Anna Hayden. Okay.
ايوه I think my class
Go ahead.
ماشي I like your point very انا قلت هجيب first so that's good but I like your point just one thing when you said that we shouldn't listen to politicians middle-aged politicians male الحاجات دي كلها you said that we should انا عارفه لا هم فعلا هم middle aged mostly white brown في مصر مش فارقه كلهم نفس الحاجه that we should instead listen to the experts. The experts are usually the medical field is usually dominated by middle-aged men who do the same thing. And if we just look at how, for example, doctors, if you don't prescribe, if you want birth control, you have to take sometimes they have to have consultations to get birth control. Sometimes they would say, try this. Sometimes they would refuse to review birth control.
There are middle-aged women doctors.
So no, actually, it shouldn't even be in the hands of the experts. The experts are usually the ones that make it harder to access a lot of birth control issues. They have people who refuse to have an abortion, refuse to review an abortion unless certain clinics had collapsed. If you go to a country like Egypt, where you don't have abortion clinics, if you go to a doctor, out Egypt bans all abortions. But in general, a lot of the times they will tell you, I won't be comfortable doing it except if you bring your partner, because the partner also needs to consent. But it's not about having it in the hands either of experts. It's about having it in the hands of women who actually have to undergo all of this.
All right, yes, name?
So my name is Maya.
Sumaya? Mayeda? Mayan, okay.
Just as she just said, I think it's a matter of reshaping the society mentality, because in fact, medical expert in the field might have a bias view due to their cultural consideration and other factors. And also, I'm kind of combining the both argument because either men or even medical expert should ultimately have a say in the rights of women towards abortion, because and even women themselves they don't know their soul body. Sometimes abortion might be healthy for some women. Sometimes you might have a medical you might have a health factor that might not allow you to go through abortion, because you might die in the process, or you might have some issues with your health. So I really think it's a matter of reshaping the whole society mentality to in education program to include those type of discussion, so that because the children are the one who are most influenceable. The children are the one who should be educated about it, because they will grow up and their mind are still flexible to think in another way, because politician or medical doctor or even women already have a certain way of thinking that might hardly be reshaped or influenced. So I really think it's a matter of discussion between a lot of entities in the society in the matter of abortion.
Right? Yes.
Hi, my name is Norma. I'm doing an MA in Gender and Women's Studies. And I feel like what you were saying kind of relates maybe to, it becomes an issue of sexual and reproductive health rights, because it's very important, of course, to know like when, but like when we talk about it medically, I feel like it's kind of different from thinking about this, like who decides on abortion in the first place. Of course, it's very, very important to know like the science behind it, when it's good, if it might hurt someone or not. That's very, very important. However, I think that ultimately the decision about if someone is going to perform an abortion is up to the person who has a uterus and like a person who has the physical attributes that would make them qualify to bear a child and maybe choose to deliver or not to carry on with the pregnancy. It's ultimately up to only that person, nobody else. But of course, it's very important to be educated on so many different aspects of how that works and like the science behind it as well. And of course, it's also important to be culturally sensitive, but that does not mean that that somebody should be able to decide based on decide the decision of someone else and what they would do with their bodies and what they would do with
Yasmin and Laila want to. Okay, Laila.
Adding on to what a lot has been said, I think it's really important to just assess the question like within itself, because the idea of like, first of all, voting on abortion legislation is important to understand that when people in Congress are voting, they are supposed to vote based off of like what they are representing. That's why they are called representatives of Congress. So we could see like, I think personally that this is a very complicated issue, and coming from my personal beliefs, I think that this issue, especially in a secular society, makes it a lot more difficult than in a like say like Egypt or whatever. Although a lot of like controversy is still about in Egypt and how like unfair and whatnot, I just find that when you replace a law that is like very cultural and very like each religion has its own saying, it becomes a lot more difficult to just apply that on like a secular country. However, I believe that it's going to be very difficult with the question being stated as should men allowed to say no, because Congress is filled with men and men make decisions. They've been making decisions for like since the US has been like a constitutionally like legislative like that and they we're only recently starting to see increase in women, and I believe that even if we increase the number of women in Congress, I don't think that question will like all of a sudden like disintegrate or become easier. I think honestly the challenges still remain, because it's all about like what the legislative person thinks of as they are voting on the ballot. Are they thinking, oh, my wife, or are they thinking, oh, the like 1 to 2 million people I am representing? Are they thinking like my daughter, or like, are they thinking of like, oh, I see the protests happening in like Boston or New York and all that, and what I want to do? So I think it's like, again, I agree with what was been said, very important that medical health should be like established, because again, a lot of these people in Congress are not necessarily making decisions based off of like, oh, the medical background. Yeah, like, I think that is needed, and just in general, education on such topics is very important, and I'm not talking about like education for like middle schoolers or high schoolers or whatever. I'm talking on like a large scale, because we can only see recently that there's been education in that. But what about the 60-year-old people in Congress? Did they get that education? No, they didn't. So they also need to have education, so that when they are making a decision, they are making it based off of a conscious, and they know the results and they know what's going to happen. Nonetheless, I personally think that Roe v. Wade being put into like each state, although it has caused lots of outsparks, it's important to notice that the North versus the South and their different ideologies and the way they think. And I think as of now, that is a best situation, because through Congress, you're gonna have one whole side sparking, but again, you have now 2 sides less sparking, but still like igniting.
It's almost like you think the US Civil War is not completely ended.
Yes.
They're fighting with ideologies.
My L had her,
Oh, sorry,
I wanted to add something, it might be.
what's your name, ma'am?
Yes,
Yasmin?
I wanted to add something, it might be a little bit unrelated to the question, but I feel like, or I wish we would focus more on whether people should be allowed to be parents, or if they should, rather than should they be allowed to back out of being parents? Because why don't we assess people when they come to give birth? How is this couple, are they fit to be parents? Are they likely to be abusive? Are they this, are they that? We don't really do that, but instead we tell them, oh, you're allowed to back out of this or not. So I feel like we're not looking at things holistically from both ends. I don't know.
Fine. MAELL.
انا نسيت والله الصراحه بقريت مين صح؟ لا انا اسف
Who wants to go?
انا عادي.
All right.
Okay, I think first of all, this question has been raised because of the feminism, the rise of the feminism throughout the centuries. Back in the day, even now, somehow, we're still involved in a patriarchal society where men have the sole power on every either political, social, or economical decision that have been taken in the society. So I think the role of the movement of feminism today is that men and women have the same opportunity, are equal into society. It's not that women dominate men or men dominate women. So particularly in this matter, it should be a matter of discussion, because the fact that the woman award, of course, she is the one experiencing that, and I'm forced that because she had the sole experience of the pregnancy and the psychological experience and giving birth, but maybe it can also, maybe the men with who she conceived the child might also have some psychological effect, psychological consequences. So maybe giving the soul, like the ultimate power to women to take this decision, it might be a little bit controversial to the initial goal of the feminism pro movement. So
it defies the feminism movement, in which equality is the ultimate goal. So if you're preaching equality, well, then they should also have a say in this matter, even though they don't carry most burden of being pregnant.
They should have a say, but it should be very contextualized.
Yeah.
They should not have the whole say, they should not have an important say, there should be a discussion, they should be considerated. That's the word that I'm
Consideration.
Consideration about the idea, because a woman cannot conceive a child. They have to be a man in the course. So in order, first of all, to be aligned our conviction of feminism of an equal society, we have to consider it their opinion. But at the end of the day, the fact that the experience is totally based on us, and regarding the society in which we have been living throughout the years, we have to some kind of be in front of the decision, but consideration has to be taken in the end because it can affect it psychologically also.
Ali, all right, go ahead.
She's waiting for
Yeah,
my
it's fine.
response. Because because
I'm not
know
waiting
I'm
for your
responding
response.
to you.
You responded to me and
Emotions, but this is what
I
I
think-
was going to say, emotions. When debating and talking in an argument or debating, I personally, I have like this opinion that you can never show emotions. And I'm going to be and I believe that everyone has his biases and everything, and I'm opening the can of worms right now. I believe that men.
He's opening the can of worms.
Yes, I'm gonna stir the pot.
Okay.
Yes, to make it more exciting.
Okay.
There's a lot of girls here.
Yes, I'm controversial. Yes.
All right.
Yes. So you said, both of you guys said that only women should have like the responsibility and the right, and no one can have a say so, even though with much evidence like medical experts should have why, and the other arguments. I'm gonna say why. I'm not gonna say women should not have the say, but when you think about it, women are emotional in everything.
Oh.
I'm gonna ask a question. I'm going to prove.
You just don't say it.
I have to say it because that's what. In debating, you can never show emotion in order to win an argument because you're gonna seem biased. If I'm trying to convince you of something and I'm
Standing up and totally
shouting,
It's okay, guys. I
I'm
explained.
standing so that everyone can see me, and I'm sorry, I'm not putting your hand. I'm standing because everyone can see me. Because I don't want to give my back to man. And what's your name? To Shat. To be respectful to them. That's why I'm standing. That's a
Your
weak
assumption
argument.
is that women are more emotional.
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Can I give them my opinion?
Of course.
I am going to ask a question. A woman is going through her period, her menstrual cycle. Is she gonna take the choice during her period? Is she gonna take the choice of marrying another person? Yes or no? During this period, marrying a person.
No, because women become aliens when they get their period.
Because they get emotion. Because emotions
on your period?
can affect the decision. Sorry. I didn't finish my argument.
Please let the based on what.
Why? You answered my question. You said no. Why did you say no?
What is your?
Why is not the woman is not gonna take the decision? Emotion. You're showing emotion.
I will show emotion and I am showing emotion not because of my period, because not showing emotion is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you detach from the topic. You think you're training yourself.
I didn't say that I do not show emotion. I say I am in control of my emotions.
Can you control your emotions to not kill people? Control your emotions until I speak. ثانية واحدة. Not showing emotions. not showing emotions. Women should not. أول حاجة, I don't know what your understanding of periods were, but periods do not create emotions. They might intensify them, but the men, for the hell of it, men every day they express their emotions. Every time. Supreme Court راحت عملت إيه? Supreme Court said that a clump of cells that come out of an IVF process are now.
Did I see it? Am I the one who said that?
One at a time.
I didn't finish.
One at a time.
ثانية واحدة. السبريم كورت طلعت قالت كده a clump of cell is now a human. They quoted they quoted religion. Why they quoted the Bible. And then what they said is برضو إن عامة إن usually this argument that women are too emotional to make a decision. If the woman is too emotional, the woman will get pregnant. Pregnancy is not just being abortion is not just about not wanting to carry on a pregnancy or not just changes of your body. Pregnancy does not just affect you having a child. Pregnancy means you're at a risk after for diabetes. You're at a risk of postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, postpartum anxiety, postpartum OCD. You have to put your job on hold because you have to. And the childcare is very expensive, even if you do have it. That you have to your body goes through different changes mentally, your body image حياتي كلها, these are long-term effects. The money-wise long-term effects. But a woman should be not women, anyone with a uterus should be the only people who
يعني a guy can be with the uterus.
Okay, the discussion.
Can I respond? Can I respond? I need, please. You know the fact, the way you answered, like you interrupted me first and then you presented your argument. This way proves but that my argument is right. We're having right now we're having an intellectual conversation and you included emotion.
Can you emotion? Pregnancy is an emotional.
Why are you raising your voice and getting angry? We're having an intellectual conversation.
Finish up,
Please, guys, just
really fast. Ali, finish up.
I proved my point. Proof shit. And now using that language.
That was out of line. No, أنا آسفة. This was out of line.
Okay, thank you guys. Maya?
I just think that naturally emotion are always portrayed when we talk. It's just the way in which one or another person show its emotion. Even men show emotion when they go. It's just they show it in a different manner, and this is completely normal because men and women are different biologically, psychologically, in every way we are different. So we show emotion, but just in a different kind of way. So that's.
And I didn't say that men do not show emotion because clearly everyone is confused. Maybe men show emotion more than
Ali, you had your turn.
All right, Laila?
Ali, listen now. Ali, listen now.
I completely understand both sides, and I understand, however, I like to deviate the idea of emotions because yes, women show emotions and yes, men show emotions. Men have testosterone, and women have estrogen and progesterone. That's a very different topic. And just how a man can get rivaled up in a meeting, a woman can also just walk out of a meeting. Same thing. Everyone has a different life, and I think that should be aside from the point. In fact, I want to go back to your point, Yassine, because she made an excellent point, and I think it should be discussed further about people's rights. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not sure if I remember it exactly. But like, there's also the woman's right to abort, and also the woman, like, I think is it parents' right to be parents? Is that correct? And I think that is a very important question. And I also see that that is an issue that is not very well spoken of. And I'm like partially playing a little bit of devil's advocate here, but I personally think that it's a little bit unreasonable to to focus exactly on abortion laws without focusing on like the laws about like how a woman becomes pregnant, whether that is through like unfortunately rape, sexual like assault and things like that, or just simply like a woman like you get pregnant like when you're married, when you're not married, all sorts of things happen. And I think that the fact that Allah focuses on abortion and specifically exactly that without looking on the underlying statements of like, how about we take a look at like the rapists levels and things like that? Why are these people like, yes, women get, I don't want to use the word punished more so, but like a woman like can undergo something horrendous like that. And like at the same time, she has to follow through the rules of like abortion and whatnot. And I think it's really important that specific laws should focus on like these people's rights and like how because each case for abortion is different. There might be a woman who is like, she got raped and she wants an abortion. For some people, that is like, oh, some people might think that's completely unreasonable, which is for me personally, I find that like, what? And some people might find that reasonable. Other people are like 7 or 6 months pregnant and they all of a sudden like decided either whether they might have like socioeconomic factors or things like that, that they don't want to continue with this pregnancy. That is where there's like lots of issues. And that's where people's like, her body, her choice. However, there's also this whole issue of like, that 7-month fetus is no longer just like nothing. It's kind of a growing child. And like, I don't like to put in personal biases in here, but I feel like you also forget the option that abortion is not the only solution to a pregnancy. There are adoptions, there are things, if you are unable to physically take care of a child, there are many adoptions. There are many people who are unable to like have children, who want to have children. And so I'm not saying like a woman who doesn't want a child has to take care of a child, but for you to have like had like 6 or 7 months of knowing you are pregnant and not having any complications, which is, I'm very clear with my words. You're not having complications. Doctors didn't say anything. You've known about it and you were like, it wasn't forced upon you. I think that this is where abortion should not be seen as the only option. There needs to be other options. However, there are many different like cases, and it's very important to know that every single abortion case is different. And I cannot possibly just put a one rule for all, which is why, again, when like I said previously, it's not about men or women, it's about people being knowledgeable about the topic, men or women, because we can't have women who are not knowledgeable about the topic. If we put them in legislation, that doesn't help the case at all. So knowledge is very important, and so that we can see how each deciding factor, and just like how, like, that's kind of Azhar where like you have to go through that. Of course, the process should not be as complicated and long and painful as it is, but I think something similar should be adapted with each individual case to see, does this truly need an abortion? Because in the end, it is a life, and it is, especially like within 40 days, Zayma Sharia says it. After that, it is a life, and it shouldn't just be like an easy one decision, oh, I want an abortion. I think there needs to be more complications to that, which is why medical field science, like all that needs to be incorporated. And again, every single person and every single case is different than the others, cannot be a general overall.
We have three people speaking. We have Maya, we have Hannah. So, oh, one of Mike, who wants to go first? Yes.
Hi, I'm just gonna say a few quick statements here. On the point about women being more emotional on their periods. This is not that women are more emotional. Let's say your statement is مثلا that women are more emotional on their periods. صح؟ تمام, we're good so far. No, yes, please. Thank you. No, well, actually, the most heightened hormone during a woman's period from her normal level is testosterone. So is she being more emotional because she's at the height of her being a woman, or because she's being the most masculine?
So the emotional part is dealt with, okay?
Yeah, I also want to add that if we're talking about whether or not men should be allowed to vote on an abortion legislation, if they get the privilege of being allowed that, then they should also get the responsibility of legally to take care of the child. If you have a legal right, then you should also have more legal obligations. And I feel personally, if a man doesn't want مثلا a woman to get an abortion, his partner, then he should if he wants to take away that right from her, then he has to take on the responsibilities of the child in return. It's a give or take.
And it should be criminalized to leave them.
It should be
criminalized to leave the child. Since you criminalize abortion preemptively, you should.
I'm speaking generally as a right. I'm not talking about my personal opinion, because we're talking about whether it should be allowed as a legislation, not what each person would do in that choice. Because, for example, I'm Muslim and someone else next to me is Christian. I believe every person should have the right to choose their religion. Does that mean I agree you be Christian? No, I believe being Muslim is correct, but I don't believe I have the right to choose your religion for you.
So your point of view is that if men get the legal responsibility, they should, the legal choice, they should also contribute in the responsibility of that obligation.
Yes.
Right, Marianne?
Yes, I think as you just said, and as she said also, I think the question of legislation should be regarded more insightly, because there should be more institutionalization toward this topic than legislation. Because I'll take the example of a country like the United States, which is a very diverse country, which people are religiously diverse, they're ethnically diverse, and so the values are diverse. In the US, they're Muslim, they're Christian, they're Jewish people, and those different religions don't have the same perspective. I would like to have the same perspective about the topic of abortion. So instead of legislating something, especially in a country like yours, where the population is very, very diverse, we should institutionalize this in each state, where those questions will be regarded. Each case of abortion will be analyzed depending on how the woman got pregnant, on her ability of being a parent, and the alternative of an abortion, because abortion is not the sole decision, it's not the sole solution. The medical domain is much more advanced now. There's the possibility of giving your embryos and a lot of things like this. So you're not necessarily obliged to
take care of something. And it's also another point. Yes, medicine is way more advanced right now, way more advanced, but women are still illiterate about their bodies, especially certain classes, they have no idea what's going on. So not everyone has same access, the same services at all, or the knowledge.
And that's why I'm talking about institutionalization and education about this topic, because a lot of people are not educated about this, and me included.
Yes. Alright, good point. Yes, Yomna?
I want to shoot back to the topic for a second. So if you're talking about men specifically, should they be allowed or not? If we don't allow them, we're going back to women suffering, except it's not women anymore, it's men. We're turning this around. Yes, it is a woman's body. Yes, she has a right. And that is why she should not be totally excluded from the opinion. Yeah, thank you. She should be included, in fact, but that doesn't mean that the other gender doesn't have the right to also give an input. I want to go back to your point about the fathers and everything.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is gonna go out who's not a father is gonna go out and say, well, yeah, a woman should not have an abortion, but even if I do have a child, I'm just gonna abandon them. So there's no way of knowing exactly what kind of men are gonna be on the board.
I'm
If you know what I
saying-
mean.
Yeah, I mean that if that's the case, then that should be the counter.
Yeah, but we can't ensure. That's what I mean. So just like a woman has a right to do whatever she wants with her body, a man has the right to do whatever he wants to do with his life. It's relative. What?
Could I add something?
Yeah.
Could I add something to that? Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. When you were talking about, sorry, could you refresh, معلش? Oh, معلش.
Okay. So I'm basically saying that if we take men off the board or of this decision, we're going back to medieval times, except we're making it about men, not women. So back then, what did women have to do? They had to fight for their right to vote on anything, everything, right? Okay. If we do that, if we start by this topic, if we start by abortion and we remove men from that board, then we have the right to remove men from other boards. That being inclusive of everything else.
So you're also in agreement with that, this defies the idea of feminism. It's going backwards in a different sense.
Yeah, feminism is about equality of both genders, and I think that sort of deviated a lot recently. So feminism right now doesn't really necessarily mean equality, it just means women are better.
Well, no.
I think that's
ماشي بس okay so هنا I think إن أول حاجة إحنا we're discussing that whether abortion legislation. So I think the question should be rephrased أصلاً should men be allowed to vote on criminally prosecuting women who get abortion. لأن whether abortion is legal or not, abortion will happen. You're just raising the access. مصر دلوقتي حالا مصر has been criminalizing abortion since the 18th century صح؟ مصر ما بيحصلش فيها does Egypt not have any abortions? They do. What happens is that when you criminalize abortion, you are increasing the risk and increasing the resort to illegal abortion. مصر بيحصل فيها إيه? Instead, women they have to drink these concoctions that they do that make them sick. They have to shove spices up their vaginas. Sorry, we're mature here. They have it's a method. It's an actual method. They have to go to underground clinics where they just give her an abortion, no aftercare. They cannot ask or they have to use hangers. They have to use So what's actually happening? Abortion legal or not? Abortion will happen. Right now, what you're asking is whether or not men should be able to vote on whether or not they will prosecute people who have abortions. This is the fact. Many men who are not fathers, they do vote on these issues. Many women sometimes, you said the point about 7 months. Sometimes women do not even know that they are pregnant until في ستات بيجيلها abortion pregnancy that's completely hidden. They don't have any symptoms. They might not gain a lot of weight. There's also the fact that I might lose my job 7 months into my pregnancy. There is the fact that my husband might die 7 months into my pregnancy. So I am fully aware I wanted this child, I don't want it anymore. I should be able to access it. And a lot of women do not at this point actually change their mind. This is very rare that this actually happens. And when this happens, it's more challenging for them. So but there is a lot of aspects that you can consider. But you have that look, I do agree with you. I do agree that the topic is a bit tricky here, but what I'm saying is, should men be completely not able to put an opinion on this? Yes. Yes, you think yes, and you think that is totally not irrational. Like, it's not irrational.
Makes their own, makes their own.
No,
That's fine, fine.
I'm going to change it.
Change the subject?
Change the
She didn't add it.
البوينت.
2 minutes يعني.
والله I'm going to say I'm going to say
Go ahead.
something and I'm going to show. I want to ask the class a question. Given the ratio that we have, why am I only the maid who came to this?
عشان might be the only one worried about it. عرفنا ليه فزت آخر مرة.
Or maybe you want to have a say in it.
No, that's not what I think.
طب ما تقول why you think.
This is a question for you to interpret.
Do you want to answer your own question?
No, I'm not gonna answer. No, I'm trying to, I can answer it outside, but I'm not gonna. Or maybe I can just give like little hints, but I'm not going to answer.
Cheyenne,
I'm going to give you the benefit, like the interpretation to yourself.
Cheyenne has answers, yes?
I want to talk about what you just said. Like I am for abortion. Like I am activist of rights of women because they have the right to abort if they want and if it is hurting for them. But however, saying that completely yes, women are just a sole taking of the decision. It's like you're saying for example, if we're looking forward to an equal society or something to men and women being equal, it's like you're saying if a man, okay, he have also emotion and he doesn't feel like he can take care of a child, he can go away. It's normal because it's a decision. No, you're contradictory. Like it's like when you say a woman is the only, like first of all they didn't conceive the child alone, okay? It's not, I'm not saying this because I am pro man or I'm something. I'm not for anything, okay? But I'm saying just that it is the ultimate decision to the woman. I mean, ultimately at the end it's her decision. But saying that through the whole process, no opinion, no other opinion should be consideration either than her opinion. It is not healthy either for the society or even for women themselves. Because if it's something about the men and it's the other way around, they claim they're shout for discrimination. It's going the.
Yes, the point, I get your point, I get this point, I get the opinions considered, but it should not be the definitive. You can consider the opinion, but the opinion should not be what makes or break the law. That's clear.
Yes.
But I am, for example, I know it's a different issue. I'm against circumcision, for example, men and I am against male and female circumcision. If a man wants to circumcise himself, I will not say anything. That's their opinion. I'm against it. I am against it. I'll be for myself. And I've been Israeli. I'm against it. But if males decide, we have a referendum right now, and male decide, and the vote was that men want to continue to have circumcision be legal. Plus, men can circumcise. But it's the same. It's the same.
At the end of the day, it's the woman's decision. But when you want to do abortion, you will consult your partner. You will consult. You consult other.
Because circumcision doesn't involve another partner. The thing is with pregnancy is there is a guy involved.
There is a guy involved.
What about what about sperm donation, artificial insemination?
Who came up with this question? Whose idea?
You want to know. All right, Layla?
I just want to kind of like finish it off by saying there's a very big difference between equality and equity, because I feel like the words equality is being used a lot, which I'm not saying it's been used in the wrong context. But to just be clear, equality is giving everyone exactly the same thing. Some person might not want it, but they have it because this person has it. I have $100,000 in the bank. I already have $1 million, but here's $100,000 because I gave this person $100,000. That's how it goes. Equity, on the other hand, is giving person what they need to succeed. In this case, it should not be looked at by equality. It has to be looked at by equity because, as I said earlier, and I stand by, every single case is specific. You mentioned things about how she might be 7 months pregnant and she doesn't know about it. Yes, completely. There is unfortunately lots of illiteracy towards the thing and pregnancy symptoms where people don't even know, they don't show any symptoms for 7 months. I know that. I understand that. But here's where it comes equity. And just like what Yasmin said, and I really appreciate your argument, how if men are to be in charge of making laws and voting on that, they need to come with the responsibility. They're gonna make a law about abortion, they're gonna make a law about education on abortion. It's not fair to give one and not give the other. If they're gonna make something about like, goodness, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Why did not a lot of guys come to this and answer the question?
Let me just.
Why? Why am I the only man
Your
who
class is
came
about
to
to
this?
start, so I really.
Are
need
you
to wrap
all
this
one
up.
class?
I actually don't know.
Are you
Okay.
going to class نفس البروفيسور؟
أنا أسمع عليكم.
Okay, thanks
علي
everybody,
أنا
thanks for
أصلا
coming. Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Time unfortunately.
علي أنا أصلا
Class,
أصلا
we will not be five.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. See you in the next debate, hopefully after Ramadan.
I know why.
Always appreciate your support. Yeah.
Especially this one, I had some.
Oh, you did, you did. You did.
Not only to say it,
I know.
and I did it, like.
Yes.